Will you choose the absolute raw power of the great sword, or the finesse and style of the long sword? The mobility and resourcefulness of the sword and shield, or the speed and aggressiveness of the dual blades? Or perhaps the reach and support of the hunting horn, or the simplistic knockout power of the hammer? The explosiveness and firepower of the gun lance, or the iron guard and precision of the lance? Maybe the fury and morphing power of the switch axe, or the Swiss Army knife of power that is the charge blade? The technical but airborne abilities of the insect glaive perhaps? Or the ease of use and range of the bow? Finally, is it the tactical and speediness of the light bowgun, or the stopping power of the heavy bowgun? This is the weapon previews from Monster Hunter World. Hey guys, this is Gaijin Hunter. Today Capcom really spoiled us. They released 30-second previews of all 14 weapons in Monster Hunter World. Now Prowler's not coming back and there's no new weapons, but I think when you see these clips you'll agree that's a-okay because all the weapons are coming back in all their glory and they all have new tricks up their sleeves. And this is just a preview, so I'm expecting even more. We're going to watch it through once. I'm going to tell you sort of like what the concept of the weapon is and what it says down below. A lot of you veterans already know this stuff, but if you're new watching, hopefully it gives you a kind of a hint at what it's all about. I do expect English videos to hit soon on the official Monster Hunter channel, so let's take a look out for those. So let's just start out. Let's go right in with the Greatsword. The Greatsword, of course, is one of the most iconic weapons in Monster Hunter. It's huge and does massive damage. Now, of course, in a game like Monster Hunter, everything is balanced, so a super powerful weapon is a little slow to move and it's a little slow to attack, but if you can line up your attacks and do a real big shot, you can deal out some massive damage. It also has this charging mechanic, right, you're seeing right here, and the charge attacks are the highest attacking sort of moves in the entire game, so line up, smash in faces, this is your weapon. The new move, of course, being the shoulder charge. This is going to link different combos and moves together. You can do it after a normal charge or you can cancel out of it. Here we'll see him cancel out of the normal charge attack into the forward one here. There's some iframes, which is great. Then he goes straight into the strong charge. It's going to nail off the strong charge and then watch the body. It actually does this like kind of gong like movement to let you know when to release, which is really cool. And this is the new true charge. Boom, level 1. Boom, huge attacks, just really lovely. Now do note that they are going to have blood. They turned them off for the trailers, but for this one they turn them off, so they'll have blood, just not like gushing out everywhere. Next up, of course, is the longsword, which is just really great. It's like a faster version of a sword that has better reach than the greatsword. For this weapon, it's all about doing fancy movements and repositioning around a monster and pulling off combos. That's kind of the samurai sword in the game, so to say. It does have a spirit combo that if you can pull off, it does raise your base attack power. So as the hunt goes on, if you're doing your cards right, you'll get stronger as it goes on. It's really cool moving. Boom! It's like a Plesiot style hitbox. That's crazy. I do like after the Fade Slash, it's got this new running animation that's really cool, and you notice he can go straight into a normal combo, so I believe that is new. Now this reminds me of Brave Style. Watch him go into here and he can counter out of it somehow and do a counter attack. That's awesome. He goes in for the swipe, runs up the monster, then back down for the attack. He's nowhere close to this monster, but there's this shockwave that still hits the Jagras and knocks him over. OP, man. OP. Next up, definitely a user-friendly weapon for people who are new to this series, which is the Sword and Shield, because it's fast. It's not that strong for each little attack, but it's very mobile, so you can get out of the way. So very agile, very easy to not really have an opening where you can get yourself hit. You can also use items with your weapon out, which is a unique thing that only this weapon can do. Here we see you can drink potions, you can use your slinger, you can do all sorts of stuff. So if you want like real diverse moves and stuff, this is definitely the weapon for you. That was awesome. 2 draw attacks. Look at this one. This reminds me of Adept. Boom! It just goes straight into the combo. That's really cool. We saw in the intro the actual like jumping run-in attack, so that's like 2 different types. So that's super versatile. We see the shield is still junk. Of course, you can still use items and run around, and in this game, I mean, obviously they're probably going to have a bunch of new items, so that's going to be a really good thing to be able to do. But of course, the slinger is super versatile, so here he's going to use like a scatter nut, which you can actually KO a monster, like you saw the little stun effect. Being able to use the slinger with your weapon now, that is pretty sweet. Love the animations, and this one, boom, he somehow jumps up and does like sort of like a downward stab. That's just nuts. I love how they're taking sort of like the best ideas from Cross and Double Cross and putting them into this game. Okay, next up is, I mean, man, a lot of people like this weapon, which is the dual blades, and look at this stuff. It's just nuts. So the dual blades is fast as ever. It's got, you know, all the combos that we know and love. This weapon is the king of hitting many times very fast, like combos. Can go into a demon mode, which you see here, which makes it super aggressive. And although you do sort of sacrifice your stamina, it allows you to do these crazy combos to do lots of damage really fast. One of the cool new things is when you go into demon mode, you go into a reverse grip, which is just super cool. Lots of new animations, but it's the same type of moves that we know and love. Just look at the amount of hits this thing's doing. That is just brutal. I love it. Boom. That's like the demon's dance. And then it's just going to continue straight into a combo. That's just ridiculous. Then we can see that they kind of like added in the aerial style. Like, look at the amount of hits. And if you connect it, he bounces off and does all these crazy other hits. That's just insanity. Next up, the hammer. The hammer is a very simple weapon that is just the king of KOing and knocking out monsters. So you definitely want to go for the head if you're using this weapon. Here it's just mentioned that it's got massive destructive capabilities, and it's actually got mobility as well, so you can charge up and run in for attacks, kind of like the hit in away as they call it. And if you hit the head enough times, you will KO and stun a monster. And this is just monster abuse. Now check this out, this is just like they literally took Brave style. One charge, level 1, watch the move that he does. He does the forward and downward slam. Then he evades and immediately goes into another charge, and watch what happens. Evade, go into a second charge, and it registers it as a different attack. So I definitely think that he's doing multiple charges. Here he goes into a third charge, which is this huge over the head. This is kind of like what you have in the Adept style. Super, super sweet. And this is brand new. Smack, smack, 2. And it gets slowly faster every time. 3, 4, and then the finale, the 5. Boom, boom. So yeah, lots of new moves and combos for the hammer, so that's really exciting. And time for one of my favorite weapons in the series, the hunting horn. Everyone thinks this is like support only, and Capcom won't stop freaking selling it as a support weapon. It is a great support weapon, but it's also really great. What they're saying here is it's got magnificent reach, and it's actually very easy to use. And it does do impact damage, so you can KO monsters just like a hammer. It also has the ability to play songs, which will buff not only you, but your teammates as well. Here we see he's giving the buff to his teammate. That could be extra attack, higher speed, mobility, who knows what they're going to add in this game. Now I do like that you can see the color, like the white for that note here. We get red for the double A smack here. And then we get purple for the behind the back. So I do like that you can see the colors of the notes. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on in this next scene, but I think this may be a new move here to over here. You notice this sort of like shockwave. And he goes into an encore here, and watch, there's going to be another shockwave. So I don't know if that's a new mechanic or just a visual effect, I don't know. Boom. If you notice when he kicks it, it puts off that shockwave. It could just be an effect, I don't know. But it looks pretty cool, and you can walk now when you're playing a little bit, so that's pretty good for getting out of the way. And there he is buffing his teammate. It's good stuff. Anyways, it's going to be impossible to know what this weapon's like until we see more, but I'm pretty excited. Now, a super favorite with people in the West and in Japan as well, I would imagine to a certain degree, the gun lance. Gun lance is kind of like high guarding and the ability to shell and firepower. So it's a lance, which you'll see after this, but it also has the ability to do fire shots, which is pretty sweet. Tame the beast. Just unload everything. So there's lots of different actions that you can do with the bullets here, and that's sort of like the big sell of the weapon. Man, that's gotta leave a headache. Some new mechanics definitely going to watch this reload. Watch what goes inside the middle of the gun lance. It's sort of like a spiky thing it loads, which he's going to shoot at the monster's face in a second here. Watch the reload here. Watch it ching, come right out. You got that little like spiky thing that it loaded up. Now watch, after he does the full burst, he's going to then do a special attack which takes that new little spiky part that it just loaded, like spring loaded, and it's going to shoot it right in the monster's face, and it's going to like literally detach and go onto him and do damage. Watch this. Boom. That is just crazy. And then it explodes. How cool is that? And then he goes straight into a wyvern's fire. Bad headache for Great Jagras. And now one of my favorite weapons, also just like the hunting horn, the lance. Lance is just like the ultimate defense and being able to step around the enemy. Watch this. You can beep beep beep. You can do lots of very quick thrust and guard shield advances. And, you know, just really utilizing that shield. There's some counter thrust action going on there. So this is really just a more safer way to hunt, I think, is if you're using the lance. Why didn't they show more new stuff? Only thing I do notice is that the distance on the evades is really big for the first one and small on the second. And the shield advance looks a little bit better than before, but we don't really know. I do hope there's 3 evades. He only shows 2 here. 1 back and 1 smaller one, so hopefully they didn't nerf that. But the counters are looking really good. Not a huge charge up animation. And of course you can mount using the sort of jumping attack here into the face. So this definitely all looks pretty improved and a little bit more better to use, which is nice. But not really, they're not showing a lot of new stuff, which is a little disappointing, but you know what? The lance is perfect, right? It doesn't need it. Okay, now into a little bit more of a technical weapon called the Switch Axe. This thing has 2 modes. There's a very long-reaching, powerful but kind of slow axe, which they're showing right now, and then it can morph into a very nimble and fast sword. So this is definitely faster than the greatsword. And you can do what they call elemental discharges, which is just really like high energy attacks with the weapon. So, very long-reaching axe mode, very fast attacking sword mode. Very cool. Of course, the thing to mention here is he does a new A attack with this, and watch this. This new attack here, I don't know how he does it. Boom! Awesome animation, and it goes into a special discharge, which it looks like he mounts the monster, shoots him in the face. This is probably the coolest new move that they revealed today. Like, this just takes the cake for me. And the second morphing weapon is the Charge Blade. This is kind of like the flip opposite. It's got its default mode is a very nimble, nice sword, and it powers up and charges a super slow but very powerful axe. Like the shield in there becomes the axe. How cool is that, right? So it's changing in between these modes. That really is the key. This is why people really like it. It is kind of like a Swiss Army knife. So you build up energy as you attack with your sword, charge it into your shield or your axe head, then unleash it for massive, massive, massive damage. Looking good. Here's a new move right off the bat. He's going to do the charge shot with the A button, and watch him do this back evade attack. This is brand new. It's a roundhouse slash but backwards, so it's kind of evasive. And then you can go straight into a morph attack. So that's a cool new move. As if this weapon didn't need any more versatility, it's getting it. So hype, hype, hype for the Charge Blade in this game. Here we can see the sliding action. You can do a slide right into a roundhouse slash, which is great. Shield thrust. So all the moves that we really love are there, which is just fabulous. And we saw it had the super discharge, and now it also has the ultra discharge. So everything is back, like all of it. What the values of that are, who knows, but that was a pretty big radius. Now, one of the more interesting, tricky weapons of the game is called the Insect Glaive. It's a very nimble glaive, and you have this bug called a Kinsect. Cool thing is the bug was listed separately on the weapon screen, so I think if you sort of raise one bug, you can use it for different glaives. And this is really the weapon that is focused on aerial combat. So this is going to be great, because this game going up in the air is going to be a pretty big deal. You send your bug out to the monster, and it will zap different color extracts depending on where you sent it out. And those will then buff you and make your arsenal of attacks that much more strong. Tons of new things. He's going to vault off of a monster, and he's going to be able to do a secondary vault in the air. Here's the secondary one, a vault off the monster, another secondary vault, another vault there. He does get lower in the air each time, but being able to adjust your aerial attacks like that on the fly, that's crazy. I'm sure it's going to be technical and hard to pull off, but man, mastering this weapon is going to make for some really pretty hunts. In here, because I think he has red, we notice that his aerial attack now has changed from like the normal thrust attack to this spinning attack, which is literally straight out of Generations. So they're definitely taking in the aerial style and putting all the good stuff into this game. So lack of styles, who cares, because we got it all. Next up is another weapon that I think everyone likes, which is the bow, because it's very low maintenance because you don't have to buy arrows, it's like unlimited. So it's a very cool, fun way to get into the ranged weapons. You can do charge shots, obviously, because it's a bow, and you can do lots of different sort of mid to close range attacks with this weapon. It's got lots of different coatings that you can apply onto your arrows to do different type of status effects, sort of like paralyzation and poison and stuff like that. So definitely also good for a group when you're doing support. New front evade straight from the get-go. He's going to be charging. He's going to do a front evade here and go straight into a sort of like adjustable charge. That's pretty sweet. Second charge there, third charge there, and then he can scrape sort of like the arrows on the ground. I think that's the power shot that we're seeing here. But he goes straight from the power shot into the sort of aerial shot, and I don't know what the heck's going on here. He's doing so much. I'm just like, I have no idea like how the combos for this weapon are going to work. That is just so fast. If you notice how fast the coding was there, it's like really fast. So I have hopes that they're really going to push the support element of this weapon even more. How he does all these attacks here and goes this far back is just ridiculous as well. Love that scraping it against the ground and doing a charge. I don't know if that's like a true charge shot or what it is, but pretty sweet. And it does get him out of the way, so he's safe. Next up is the bow guns. So this is the light bow gun. This is the more mobile version, and then there's the heavy one, which we'll see right afterwards. Definitely a lot of people like this weapon. As you can see, it can do very fast firing, and it's incredibly nimble and can do lots of evasion. This is definitely a long distance weapon though, where the bow is kind of like a mid-range distance weapon. It's going to do all sorts of different status attacks and has a really wide range of shots in this game that can do all sorts of stuff like triggering explosions and doing other things that are going to be really good support for the rest of your teammates. From the get-go, we can see the second evade has now turned into this kind of like dive where you can readjust your positioning. That is sweet. All sorts of new shots going out, so I mean the bow guns are going to get complicated. We're going to have to just sort of learn about it as we go along, but that second evade is just so cool, isn't it? I am expecting they're going to add in a lot of new shots, so this is going to affect both the light and the heavy bow gun. So here we see him hit the paralysis. This is awesome. So he's literally putting up sort of trigger bombs on the ground because he knows the monster's going to get up and go towards them, and it's going to sort of like cause an explosion. So yeah, lots of neat things. I think taking advantage of the mobility of the light bow gun, where I think in the past games they could have just sort of like used the same shots. So I'm really happy we're seeing a differentiating factor here for the light bow gun. And the last 14th weapon, and definitely a great strong one to end it on, is the heavy bow gun. Look at the heavy fire this thing can do. If you like to take a distance and do long range distance, but you want really powerful shots, you want to be like Commando, this is definitely the weapon for you. He has all sorts of shots that the heavy bow gun can do that are super strong, super powerful, and have lots of different sort of sniping conditions. That's so good. Straight off the bat, we can say he's doing strafing. He's like literally walking while facing forward and shooting shots. That's definitely new and very cool. We do also notice that they're showing off shots the light bow gun didn't have. It's making me think that either the recoil is just too big for the light bow gun, or there's special ammo specifically for the heavy bow gun. I don't know. But they do mention down here that it can equip special types of very heavy artillery. So it does make me think that there's shots that are exclusive to the heavy bow gun. I love this like machine gun. And you can even move while you're doing it. It's a special type of shot, so it's not always available, but I can't wait to learn a little bit more. We just saw the siege mode there where he sort of got in the ground and shot him. I imagine that will reduce the recoil, so very exciting. And that's that. So let me know down in comments below which weapon you find the most exciting. Obviously, I don't think this is all there is to it. I could speculate and go through and analyze it even more, but honestly, we'll get gameplay eventually, so we'll learn a little bit more, so I'm not going to go crazy. But we sort of get a hint at that they're taking the styles and the arts from Generations, and even Double Cross, and they're putting in the best ideas, and they're baking it into the way, like the base class, which is great. It means that you're going to have a huge variety of moves to do, so definitely looking forward to figuring out what sort of the best practices are, and doing tutorial videos when the game does come out. But with the ability to change your weapon at base camp during a hunt at any time, even from Blade Master to Gunner weapons, it means that people are going to be more interested and more encouraged to use more than one weapon. So definitely branch out in this game, learn different weapons, and when a new monster comes in, maybe, you just want to pick up a bowgun. Maybe it's going to be better against that monster. So I'm really excited about what that brings to the series, the ability to change in the middle of a hunt. So let me know down in the comments below, what are the cool new moves that you are just blown away by? What was in this video that I didn't even mention? And it's just like, oh my gosh, why didn't he mention that? Let us know down below. I think it's going to be exciting to talk about these things for the next, gosh, I don't know. This is going to keep us busy for like the next month talking about this game. Anyways, strong videos from Capcom. Love it. Can't wait to see new monsters and new stages, but the weapons are looking darn good. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and until next time, happy hunting.